Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. I'm Matt. Today we're doing some beat making stuff. A few weeks ago, I made a video making a beat in Ableton and sampling with the simpler sampler in there. And a little bit before that, I made a video showing you how I sample in Machine. So today, I'm going to check out the Logic sampler. I haven't spent much time with this Logic sampler. I had some experience with the previous version, the EXS24. I did not like it. It was just not for my workflow. But I know that they made a lot of new changes. This whole sampler setup is completely different. They brought this in mid 2020, so I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see if it makes any difference, and we're going to make a beat. Before getting started, I did grab a sample from Splice just to get something to start working with so you wouldn't have to watch me sift through a bunch of samples. Here's the sample. Let's try slice. Okay, so it's doing it by transients, as we can see here. I'm just going to do it the way that I do it in some of the other software. So let's try equal divisions, and then let's see if I make it 32. Okay. Now, looks like we can change the pitch here. Okay. So I think this one here is the... So this little guy down here, down at the bottom, is the bottom right, is how I can change the attack so that I can get a little bit of that clickiness out of the beginning of each of these clips. Alright, that's kind of fun. Let's try slowing it down though. I don't quite love that one. Yes, and then we're going to bring the attack in. Attack's a little too much. Can I make this like smoother? Why does it goes all the way up? Why can't I make it? And then there's a filter option over here, so I'm going to play with that. I kind of like that. Alright, so let's... Now here's the thing with Logic that I wish it had that Ableton has, which is the tap tempo. But I'm going to guess that we want something around the 150... Let's try 153. Let's see what that gets us. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to record in something quick and easy with this guy. The next thing I'm going to do is try something a little different. I'm going to try the cassette plugin. I usually go with the RC20 at this point, but I'm going to try something new. This is the Waves Factory cassette plugin. I'm going to play around with this. I don't like too much of the instability stuff that this does when it throws it around and makes it super crazy. I like to just dial it in just a little bit, just kind of subtle little changes, but I do like that kind of lo-fi sound that a lot of these tape emulators bring in. All right, now we're going to find some new sounds. I use splice for these kinds of things. I know some people don't like to really show their samples. I don't really care that much. Oh, I know I have a kick somewhere that I got. Let's try that out. So you can just drag these things into Logic now and go to the quick sampler. And now, I love that. I really do like the ease of sampling that they've introduced with this new sampler. That's my favorite thing about it. It's just that they seemed, Apple seemed to listen to what people wanted and adapted a workflow for that, especially people who use things like Ableton and Machine like I do, where I'm so used to just dragging in a sound. I just want to do that. I don't want to have to open up all the sampler stuff and go so deep into the settings. I just want to be able to drop a sample in and do a little bit of manipulation and have it ready to go. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing with a clap sound. Bring it in. Quick sampler. Turn the volume down a little bit because it's hot. Actually, you know what? Can we adjust the gain in here? Can you? Velocity? No. I mean, with that, you can. Oh, there's a volume. Okay, so I'm bringing the volume down a little bit just because this is so... I just wanted to hit around that... I just wanted to hit around, you know, the green zone. I don't want it to be slamming the output on the way out. I don't want to have to turn it on after the fact. Gain staging. Gain staging. Try to get your sounds at a reasonable volume before you start mixing them around, and that way you don't have to do as much work later. So mostly what I'm doing here is just trying to kind of emulate my Ableton workflow and see how well that applies to this new Logic sampler. So far, it's going great. I really like the ease of use of this that I had not previously had with Logic with my specific workflow. All right. Now we have our hi-hat sound. I will say, I struggle a lot with hi-hat sounds. I very rarely find a hi-hat sound that I like and then continue to like throughout the process of the beat. This is the main sound that I end up changing around or maybe swapping out throughout a process more than any other one. With the hi-hats, I'll usually just record in something pretty straight, and then I'll draw in more stuff later. This works really well for me in Ableton. Let's see how well it translates to Logic. So you don't have to go in and tap those eighth notes the entire way through. You can just do them for one little segment. You don't even have to do them as many as I did. And then you can copy and paste it across. Because doing this a bunch is exhausting. And hard for me, personally, to time well. Now this is something that I wish I knew how to do better in Logic, is how do I, the more I zoom in, it still has the same beat divisions. How do I divide the beat differently? One thing I just caught is that the kick felt a little low. I played it an octave lower than I thought I did, and that's why. I don't really have a set way of working around on a beat. I kind of just jump around depending on what feels right at the time. That's just my process. Mixing sometimes is a little bit different, but with making a beat, I just kind of jump around to what feels like the right thing to add at any specific time. But one thing I like to add on samples, sometimes we're going to see how it goes, is the Sound Toys micro shift. Kind of a chorusy effect, I guess. So that's just a fun little chorus thing you can add on there. I don't always use this if I'm using the RC20 because that adds in some wobbly stuff. So it's kind of fun using the cassette plugin because now I can alter this in different ways as far as modulation effects. So this is fun. I like this a little bit. Just adds a little wobbliness and then it kind of thins and spreads it out, which I like because if you're making a beat for potentially someone to put vocals on, I like to not have it be too busy, and I like those samples to be thin because I want space for a vocal. And now comes either the best or the worst part for me, the 808. We already have one. No, we already have one, but this is one I got today, so let's try it out. Again, we're gonna go, let's try the optimized sampler. I really don't know what the difference is. Let's find out. According to the information on our sample, it's in D sharp minor. And this, which we pitched down 2 semitones. Now this guy is in D sharp, this 808, so if we just pitch down 2 semitones, maybe we'll be in key. All right, well, I like that. All right, well, that's rare that I find an 808 pattern so quickly that I'm happy with. So I'm going to record that in. Okay, so there's something there. I'm not going to mix or arrange this out. That would take a while. I just kind of wanted to play around with the beat construction. And so far I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to show you just some of the things that I would add to the master bus on a beat. Sometimes, not all the time, but it's a nice starting point that I like to try. I like the virtual tape machine. This just thickens stuff up. Sometimes a little too much in the low end, so this is not an every time thing, but sometimes that can make the 808s and kicks really overpowered, which you can maybe just bring down a little bit. So I like that. Just a little bit of that tape saturation. I don't like to go too crazy with it because it can really muddy stuff up and sometimes kind of over thicken a beat to me, especially in that low end. So I try to not go very crazy with the tape thing, but I do like that. I just like the character it adds. The other slight thing I like to add is the virtual mix rack. And I have a beat bus thing. I did rip this off a Alex Toomey stream that I watched. If you're not watching Alex Toomey streams, you're missing out on learning a whole lot about engineering and mixing and a million other things. So really watch those as an engineer and as a beat maker and just as a person who makes music. Those are so helpful. So watch that. And the mix bus one helps with a little more of that kind of gluey feeling. And you can try out a bunch of different circuits. So I don't always land on the same one. I try not to add too much of this drive. That one I dial into. So let's figure out. I also like to check the levels. I don't like to be slamming it too hard on the mix bus. And I just like to, this one isn't, this mix bus one is not super crazy for me. I go just a little bit. I don't like, just a little bit on the input. I don't like to slam it on the way out. Just my preference. I don't want this thing adding too much character. Just a little bit of what it does. Now we're going to add in the air. So if we fully exaggerate it, it does not sound good on the hi-hats. It's very aggressive, very abrasive. Real ice picky, so we'll see. I mean, I sometimes only have this on the smallest increment I can even bump it up. I just like because sometimes it does make that high-end information, like the hi-hat and the top end of a snare, peak out just a little bit over where it was. So it's not, again, just like the virtual mix bus, these are all subtle things. I don't like to go crazy. It's just to help it just to help pull a little bit of that high end out of the mix. Not out of the mix, but pull it up in the mix. Pull up a little bit of that high end and just kind of be shimmery on top. I like that. Well, shimmer's not the right word because shimmer's what the other thing's going to add. But I like to do that just to bring in a little bit of that extra stuff on top. Now we're going to bring in the revival. And again, just dial this in slowly and really not a lot. See, now that's adding another high-end, airy kind of frequency, but different from the air one on the air EQ. So when you pull it all the way in, or when you bring it all the way in, it sounds like a lot, but then when you pull it away again, it feels like you're now missing something. So I just like to figure out the sweet spot between those two things. And I just like what that's adding to the high-end information, especially the hi-hats, really helping them stick out in the mix without creating too much ice picky or harshness. And then the thickness one does a similar thing with the low end. So I'm going to bring it in a lot and then dial it back. So see how that thickness adds a lot of that low end. It helps that boominess really come out, especially in the 808s and the kicks. So I like to find some sweet spot for that to live as well. So this is a whole without this mix bus plugin, and with it. So that's where I'm going to end this beat for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for checking this out. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. I put out videos weekly. So, yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by, and have a good week.